Welcome everybody to Who's Your Band. I am Jeffrey Paul. I'm sitting here with Sean Morton. How are you, Sean?
Living a dream, Jeff. Living the dream.
Well, listen, today's show is this is a show that's inspired by a post that Sean posted. I was going to say about 2 weeks ago, and it's about the movie The Warriors.
Yes.
Um, and just as luck would have it, I happen to be friendly with Apache Ramos, who is he was an actor on the movie, and he's gracious enough to join us today. So let's bring him to the show because we gotta get this started right away. I've been looking forward to this. Let's bring him to the show. He was one of the orphans. In fact, not just one of the orphans. He was second in command. Okay, yeah, yeah. You had the great, who was it? Was that Paul Greco? Was it Paul Greco who was the leader of the orphans? And then this guy comes on the screen with a big afro. Apache Ramos, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And rest in peace, Paul Greco.
Yeah.
We lost him back about 2008. But yeah, it's always great when the orphans get invited, brother. Orphans never get invited. So how cool is that? Thank you, guys. Showing
You
love.
see, we're in the paper. Yeah. Oh man, you orphans, you are big news.
Yeah, I was the war chief. And check this out, bro. Somewhere on this planet, somebody is whipping my ass in the video game right now. How cool is that? How cool is that, huh?
That's real. That is really cool. First of all, man, I love the movie. Okay, it has been one of my favorites of all time. I'm a Staten Island guy. I remember in Staten Island, everyone was talking about this movie. Now, I'm setting you up here, Apache, because Sean hated the movie. Okay, so we got to convince him.
That's okay, Sean.
It's not okay. He's not entitled to hate not this movie. This one. Okay, so let's start with this.
I will preface by saying my best friend, this is one of his absolute all-time favorite movies, and he begged me for years to watch this movie. Now, I'm also known, Apache, for not seeing huge movies. So, like, I've never seen the Star Wars.
Me too. Not until my grandson started watching it. I thought I was one of the few people in the galaxy that didn't see it.
No, like I've never seen the Lord of the Rings. I've never seen. I saw the Godfather first time like 4 years ago.
How is that possible?
I just watched different
things. There's a lot
of
movies I haven't seen. There's a lot of them I haven't seen.
So
now that I'm dating again, senior dating, yeah, I'm starting to see more movies.
All right. Well, you should take it.
That's okay. It's funny because to me it was just a gig back in the day.
Sure.
Finally got a gig. I wasn't never getting no gigs. I was like, it was rough, and I remember going to that audition. They sent me to this audition. And I didn't really give a damn.
I'm sorry. You're what, about 23, 24 when you land the part?
I was beautiful. I was like 23, 24, serious attitude. I had just came out of college a couple of years before. I was working, where was I? I was working in Bloomingdale's on a loading dock, and I was hanging out at the Subway Inn, which was on 60th and Lexington Avenue. And I got this audition, and I go to the audition.
Were you an actor?
Yeah, I was acting then. I was doing theater. At that time, I was doing a play about Attica, out of the Nation of Islam back in the day. But I was trying. I was getting rejected all the time. I had my own theater group when I was in college. I went to school up in the Amherst area. So there was a lot of good stuff out there. There was Mount Holyoke Smith, where I went to school a lot, where I took a lot of classes. And we had Amherst, UMass, and then my alumni, which is Hampshire College. And so when I left in 76, I was trying to be an actor. I served my apprenticeship in Napa Valley, which was really beautiful. In the wineries, it was just so beautiful. But anyways, I got the part. So I went to the audition. I had a black T-shirt, silver letters that said Bronx, shorts, my 8x10, and a bottle of rum. And
Were you
like I
going in
said,
as were you going in character?
I was just going in as myself. I didn't. I knew it was a movie about gangs, and you know, I was born in Brooklyn, raised in the Bronx.
Were you familiar
That's
with
why
the
my
book?
blood type is B positive, brother.
Apache, were you familiar with the book going in?
No, not at all. No, I wasn't familiar with anything. I just knew that when I got there, there was a whole bunch of guys. Some of them looked like gang members. Some of them looked like actors. It was just, you know, it was just a big cattle call. And I was sitting there sipping my rum, and I
You're
really didn't care.
drinking while you're waiting to audition?
Yeah, I was just sitting there sipping and waiting. It was a long, long wait. And this guy sits next to me. This white guy sits next to me. He's talking. We talk. He goes away. I offer him a sip. Nothing happening. And when I finally go in, it turns out that was Walter Hill that I had met. I had just met like that. And
But let our audience know who Walter Hill is.
Walter Hill's the director. Walter Hill is the director of the Warriors and a whole bunch of other stuff. And what a cool guy he was. And he offered me, I didn't even have to say nothing because we had already kind of had a meeting already. And he offered me this. He said, it's a small part. I wish I met you sooner. Would I take it? I said, hell yeah, I'm starving. I'll take it. Yeah, I take it. So when I took it, I remember shooting with, that's when I met Paul Greco, great brother. We hit it off right away. And we didn't know what the Warriors looked like, not at all. We just knew what we saw in the script. Walter didn't let us see us. We didn't see what they looked like. And then when I finally saw what they looked like, I started laughing. And Paul and I started laughing because they didn't look real to us. Especially, remember, this is 1978. This is the year after the Summer of Hell in New York City, where we had fucking David Berkowitz shooting people up, and we had the blackout of '77. The city was hot times, very hot times, and I think the carryover was definitely in '78. So there was a strange vibe in the city, and I think it really comes out in the movie too, which makes it a little
Absolutely,
scarier.
it does.
Yeah.
It seemed to me in the movie that I thought they used a lot of like real gang members. Is that
Well,
true?
I think the Warriors themselves would tell you that they had some encounters with some of the gang members. But remember, I know mostly my part. I know mostly what the stories they tell me when we're sitting around. That's one thing. We're a very tight cast, and we were just recently. Most of us were together 2 Saturdays ago at the summer. What was it?
You were there
Superfest.
last Saturday. It was last Saturday.
Boston. Was it last Saturday?
Yeah.
No, last Saturday I was with a friend of mine. Last Saturday, it was the Saturday before.
Okay.
Anyways, that was a fun time because I had breakfast with I wound up having breakfast with meat from Porky's. We just bumped into each other.
That's right. What's his name? Tony Galolis?
Galikos or something. What a cool brother. It was kind of rainy, and I think he wanted to get something to eat. And he had a shopping cart, and he's walking down the street, and he even got the toothpick, not the toothpick, the match in his mouth. He's pushing this. It's starting to rain, and me and my boy Santana, we saw him. We picked him up, and we had breakfast at Panera's. But what a cool guy!
He was in The Wanderers,
exactly.
And with the toothpick, he was the guy. Leave the kid alone.
Leave the kid alone. Yeah, that was a big line.
I thought that guy was gonna be a huge star. He was like Stallone. He looked like Stallone.
And he's a Greek. He's Greek. So he liked my little couple of Greek words I know, from growing up. When you grow up in New York, you know a little bit of everything, So yeah, what a good guy. We hung out a little bit at that event. That's what I like when like I said, I make the joke like you invited me, but the orphans, we call ourselves like the B Squad, with the Lizzies, Wanda Velez, and Dee Dee, and I, and some of the like this time we had Billy Torres. I had never met before, and he was the Turnbull ACs. And sometimes the promoters invite the I call us the B Squad, the junior varsity, and we get to go.
Well, you guys weren't invited to the big meeting.
Oh yeah.
Remember, in the orphans, they're not invited to the big meeting, Sean.
Yeah, that's what my shtick. That's why I have my Orphan Nation on Facebook, because a lot of people felt like an orphan, and that's why the orphans get a lot of love, you know. And
It's true.
I do my red button stick. I don't know if you remember Red Buttons, but he never had a dinner, so he never had a dinner. So the orphans never got invited. Sean, that's why you got to love the orphans, brother.
All right, so here let me interject you for a second. So as I'm watching this piece of shit movie, right? It gets to me.
He's not gonna hold back, Apache.
I love him.
And I'm glad. Look.
He reminds me of my old bartender. My old bartender, first thing he said to me is, "When do you watch you cocksucker?" And I said, "I love this place." Go ahead,
but
Sean.
his screen froze. Look at his dumb face. How it froze.
No. Can you see me now?
Oh, he's back. Okay, Sean, you froze for a minute.
Go ahead,
yeah, I know. Okay, piece of shit movie. And when I got to your scene, I watched your scene, and I thought that his acting was terrible. The main guy in that, the guy you're talking about,
Greco.
Yeah, he was fucking atrocious.
Paul Greco was in Broadway. Danny Rose. He was in the Cable Guy. He's great. That guy.
I don't care. He was horrible there.
John,
and I said to myself, I said to myself, and I swear on anything that's holy and sacred, the only guy I liked in that scene was the fucking little Spanish guy with the big ass afro. And now I'm talking to him, and I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is not a bit. I can tell you why it's not a bit, because I am high as fuck, and I would never be able to pull this off if I wasn't. And I'm telling you right now, you were the only person I liked in that shit movie. Why is this guy putting
the young
3
people
bottles?
Turn me on to the edibles.
What this guy with 3 bottles? He's clinking in his hands and
that. Oh my! Do you know who that is?
Movie magic.
That's
magic.
David Patrick Kelly, who goes on to be in 48 Hours. He's in Commando. He's in so many. That scene. Now I understand that scene was improvised by him, right?
Yeah.
Where they wanted him to use something else. He didn't want to do it, so he takes the bottles and starts, warriors come out to play.
They
and
come out
he builds on it.
Yeah,
That's
they come out to play part. I've heard him say in interviews, came out from a neighbor that used to call for him. That must have been very creepy. And I forgot what his name is. David, come out and play. That's where he got that from. That's
David Patrick Kelly. He played Luther. He played Luther in 48 Hours also. Okay, but that was his name. He's the leader of the Rogues. I love this movie. And in The Warriors, he steals every scene that he's in, even when he's going to buy candy, and the girl behind the counter, who she was terrible, she goes, real stiff, are you gonna pay for that? He's like, for what? He's great.
He was the most over the top actor I have ever seen in my life.
Great.
No, this doesn't make it great. I just texted my buddy and I said, "Hey, I'm interviewing Apache Jones from the Warriors," and he goes,
"Apache Ramos."
Ramos. I'm sorry. I read it wrong.
That's okay. I used to get fan mail, Patches Rainbow,
and it says, "I'm so fucking jealous."
Oh, he froze again.
Oh no!
He keeps freezing. Yeah, but how can you not like the performance of David Patrick Kelly? Did you get a chance to work with him, Patch?
No, not at all. I've never met him. A lot of people in the cast I haven't met. I've met most of them. I had meet and greets. Like Cyrus, I had met at a meet and greet and stuff like that. But the meet and greets are so much fun. They're so much fun. The people, you should see all the. I'm waiting for Sean to come back on. I want to show him some of the stuff that people make for me and send me and stuff. It's incredible. The love. I've signed so many different things, and I think one of them was like a piece of boardwalk from Coney Island, which I signed. Another one was I was in Boston. I was doing an extra part, and I forgot what the name was. Ungovernable
something
Force,
else called about Coney Island.
And the guy wanted me to autograph his car, so I autographed his car. But it's been a trip, I didn't think that's why I'm waiting for Sean.
Okay, we got him back.
Yeah, I don't think I paid the internet bill.
Sean, I love Sean. Go ahead, Sean.
All right, so Look, well, finish your thought. Finish your thought. Then I'll go back to that fucking pile of dog shit that you were in.
No, but when I first saw, like I said, when I first saw the Warriors, I cracked up because I'm from the Bronx, okay?
Okay.
And I know what the real gangs. I knew the real gangs, so they did not look real to me at all when it first happened.
Well,
And I remember
this is my
the
point.
whole.
This is my point about the whole thing. All right, look, I'm a little younger than both of you, okay? I'm a little younger than both of you. I'm 46, so I didn't grow up in the 70s and 80s in New York, but I saw how dirty it was in the 90s, okay, before Giuliani came in and all that shit. And I wish, now let me tell you something, some of my favorite things are from New York City in the 70s. Like, I have a real affinity to that era, you know? I would have killed to live in that era. But here's my thing. In 1977 New York, do you really have a bunch of guys in a gang walking down the street in baseball uniforms?
Yes, that was the
I knew you were
baseball
gonna say
furies,
that.
and they were on roller skates so they can get away faster.
Yeah,
No, no.
that's the other gang. That's the other gang, isn't
Yeah,
it?
those are the punks. You're talking about the Furies,
The baseball furies.
Sean. And
You had the
the
baseball
it's
furies. You had the
unbelievable.
Lizzies. You had the
It was
orphans.
Walter. Walter also loved the Kiss. So the Kiss makeup on the
That's
baseball.
what it looked like.
How many gangs would put on all that makeup? But every Halloween, at some point, I see a little kid dressed up as a Fury, and it warms my heart. It just carried over. The Warriors, like it or not, is a big part of pop culture.
Absolutely.
Oh, it is. No, it
Yeah.
absolutely is.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
call it. I
I
call
will
it the
tell you.
Rocky Horror of gang movies because
Dude.
people come dressed up. Check out the Warriors on Coney Island at the Coney Island Film Festival at midnight, and people come dressed up as the characters. Even my character, they come in with a wig. Like, that's my number one question: was I wearing a wig? I get that a lot from younger people, but it's amazing how people love this movie, and it keeps going strong. I'm gonna keep talking. I want to show you something. I'll be right there.
Yeah, he has something to show you, Sean.
Okay.
We were
Look
talking
at
when your
this,
dumb
Sean.
face guy.
People,
frozen.
this comes from the Philippines. This is me. It even has my tattoo. And
Wow.
look at this. This is made in the Philippines by an artist called B Black Boys. What was it? B Black Boys. Yeah, with a Y, with a Z. I mean, look at this character.
That's really
That's really good.
And it got the orphans in the back. It's even got the Pumas I was wearing that day. So somebody took the time
that's
to
good detail.
do this. This is totally wrong though, because nobody ever guessed what I was really carrying. I wasn't carrying what they think it's nunchucks, but it wasn't. It was something more. It was something disgusting. And at this last event, somebody made this for me, which I don't know what it is, but my grandkid thought it was very hip.
That's amazing.
Oh my God, that's you?
So
the orphans.
I'm gonna be 69 years old, so I don't know what these things are.
Oh, that's crazy.
It has the name Orphan Jesse, because according to the video game, my name is Jesse. And then look at this. This is a mask. There's a guy named Clash in New York. He's an incredible artist. This is a face mask. This is a character of me.
And well, you know what? Sean is right. You know, when you do look at all the actors that were on, played gang members, you really do look the most authentic. Right. I kind of agree with that.
I mean, it was a kind of racist comment by me, but you know what? It's totally
it's
fine.
It's a very 70s comment.
Let's call it culturally appropriate.
It's a 70s comment. It's the way we spoke and the way you see it. I get that comment a lot. That
Apache, I got something to show you.
Yeah, he's one of the best. Let me tell you, he's one of
the
best human beings. He is one of the nicest people in the world. Now, when I go to these meet and greets, Sean, you'll like this. I have a crew of orphans. I've created this thing called Orphan Nation. And when I started, was Mercy, who got me involved with these meet and greets. All I had was a piece of paper with a copy of my picture. Now with my little group, I have this huge banner that my crew brings. And Michael Beck looked at it the other day and he goes, "Well, Apache, at least you put the W on it." He is the nicest, kindest guy you will ever met. We were in San Antonio at the horrific film festival. It was David Harris, myself, my daughter, and Michael Beck. And my daughter was having my second grandchild. Oh, my favorite band, I wore it, Santana. Okay.
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
1969, baby. Fillmore East. I was
That's
there.
right. How when they played Woodstock? How much did they make? Do you remember?
I don't know how much they made.
$500, and they did it. They did it because Bill Graham represented them, and it was their. It was really that Woodstock was Santana's coming out party.
Oh yeah, that was his coming out. I mean,
Yep.
I was getting high in the basement in the Bronx, and my man Gonzalo says, "You want to hear some rock?" And it was the first album with the line that has all the shit in it, and
And
I was like, "Nah, I don't want to hear that." And then I put it on, and became the soundtrack of the rest of my life. In fact, my granddaughter, who's now 6, she's named after Carlos Santana. Her name is Santana Ruby Ray. Yep.
Love it. I love it. No,
You know what,
man,
My grandson is 11. His name is Hendrix.
Nice. I saw a great documentary yesterday called Count Me In. It's all about drummers, and it was all about different kinds of drummers and stuff.
Michael Stribby.
They were interviewing the old drummer from Lenny Kravitz. Remember, Jeff? It was a chick.
yes.
She actually married Carlos Santana.
Get
Yeah.
out of here.
Yeah. I did
Cindy
not know
Blackwood.
Yes,
Cindy
exactly.
Blackwood.
Cindy Blackwood, exactly. She's an amazing drummer, and she married him like 12 years ago.
Well, you know what supergroup came out of Santana, right?
Yeah, Journey.
That's right.
I wouldn't call Journey a supergroup.
Are you out of your mind? The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is, of course, a supergroup.
No, a supergroup. No, you have the wrong definition of a supergroup. A supergroup is like the Traveling Wilburys, where you have Tom Petty.
Is
and
Asia a
Like
supergroup?
an all-star band, like the Fender All-Stars.
Yeah, exactly. Asia, no, they're a band.
Well, it was from ELP. It was from Yes, and they were from King Crimson. You know, all kind of big bands, like, you know.
I
in the
remember
70s.
my first year. When I saw Santana the first time was '69. It was right after I had played that record, Getting High in the Basement. I was in the Village and the Fillmore East, and all of a sudden I saw Santana, the Voices of East Harlem, and a group called Ball and Jack. I think it was like for $7 or $8 maybe, and it was great. When I was in college, I had this black roommate for a couple of weeks before I took over the world. But he was a big Jethro Tull fan, and I had never seen Jethro Tull, so the room was split in half. And then one year, 1 week he had tickets and he took me. It was one of the best shows I've ever seen. That Jethro Tull band was really good. It was that Thick as a Brick album.
Yeah. Well, back in the 70s, early 70s, Tull wound up playing Shea Stadium. That's how big they actually were at that point. So when you saw them, you probably saw them at that height if Thick as a Brick had just come out.
Yeah, there were this guy, Ian Anderson. Boy, that guy was pretty incredible.
Oh, he's great live. Ian Anderson is insanely good. And they have one of the greatest guitar players. And also, their keyboard player turned out to be trans.
Wow.
Didn't turn trans until he was in his 60s, or she's in his 60s. But anyway, let's get back to the Warriors, okay? And first off, when you go to these Warrior conventions, we'll talk about the movie in a second. When you go into the Warrior conventions, what's the reception like from the fans, and what's it like to meet up with the old cast? Like you just said, Michael Beck is great. You ever run into guys like James? Because look at the people that came out of this movie. You had James Remar, okay. You had Mercedes Rule. I think, is Sonny Lanham still alive?
No, he passed away.
Yeah, he was Billy Bear in 48 Hours and Predator. You had Paul. I mean, you really did. Deborah Van.
If you notice, Walter Hill kept some of the actors and kept putting them in his other movies. But to be we're a very tight cast. You know, we go to dinner together, we hang out together. The Warriors themselves, by themselves, they're always pretty much together. I mean, they've been together for so long. But as the secondary players, we get the love too. In fact, when I was Saturday, Michael comes to me and he goes, you want to come to dinner with us? You come with us? I go, no. Because since I went to college out there, friends came to see me and I went out to dinner with them. Yeah. But
it's nice to be invited.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Especially if you're an orphan.
Now, there was controversy when this film was released. You know,
there's a lot of controversy.
Yeah, what was going on? I heard there was all type of
you got to look at the
vandalism
and
violence.
They were afraid of the violence. They were afraid of, like, you know, people today, like I'm getting close to 70. I used to party in the 70s, and now I'm going to be in the 70s. But people forget how violent New York City was back then. You know, they always talk about how violent it is now and how scary it is now. But New York City was worse in the 70s and maybe even the 80s, especially when the crack epidemic hit. And I think it's the fact that we have more access to immediate news that bombards us, that scares us all the time. You know, you hear more about it. You know, when I was growing up, you had to wait till the next day to get the post of the Daily News or something. Right. Now, you get 24-hour news, blah, blah, blah. Somebody gets shot in the head, you're going to hear it 24 times before you wake up in the morning. So it seems like it's more, but New York was very, very rough, especially when we did the Warriors. New York was very hot. The city was very hot. Most of the buildings in the Bronx were destroyed. It was really, really, really bad times.
What time of year did you film it? Apache, what time of year did you film it?
I remember the summer because I remember it being really, really hot outside. I remember going on a set and just doing a lot of sweating. But from all that stuff came art. You know, came to graffiti. Really came. So from the ashes came all this art, this hip hop culture, and the movie touches on all of that with Rembrandt. You know, doing the graffiti. And so it touches a lot of people. You know, I always ask people when I do these things, I say, well, when was the first time you saw the Warriors? And I get these great stories like, you know, my father and my mother weren't together. And my father came and told my mother he was going to take me to see Lady and the Tramp, but he took me to see the Warriors. And, you know, there's a lot of bonding things the first time. To me, it's like a comic book. You know, it's like these different groups, these little like superheroes. Because, you know, Sean, you still there? Is Sean there? Yeah. Yep. Don't you think they should have took a gypsy cab?
Yeah, right.
The Warriors, they're taking the train. He's saying they should have just Ubered it.
Yeah, they should have. No, we had gypsy cabs back then.
Let me tell you something. I live about 5 blocks from my convenience store. I drive every fucking time I go there. I ain't walking from the Bronx to Coney Island. What the fuck? You got your mind?
They didn't walk. They were taking the train.
And Debbie Van Valkenburg. Oh, what a trooper she was. You know, she broke her arm during the filming.
Oh, is that why she was wrapped up?
Yeah, she broke her arm during the filming. So it was. They have great stories. The Warriors. They're great guys. And now that we're, you know, but we do get together. We really have a good time. There's no. Yeah.
Hey,
what I like is when I get invited. Like I did Chilla. I did Chilla this year. The year it was the pandemic thing. I was in Florida. And then the year I was supposed to do Chilla, I got very sick with my heart. And so I couldn't do it. But when I did Chilla this year, just me, it was me and Dee Dee, one of the Lizzies. Dee Dee
she was the one with the big hair, right?
Yeah. She it was her and I, and we cleaned up because people want to get all the autographs they can. So if you're part of that movie, they want it, you know. Yes. So we get so much love from the fans. I get things sent to me all the time. People want to talk to me, like you guys. Thank you. It's been an amazing experience. I've done other things. I got a
Well, the
movie
thing is,
out now
Apache, I can
that's
relate to
killing
it because I get the same thing with The Irishman.
with the Irish.
Yeah, I was in The Irishman. Yeah, I get the exact same thing. So I know.
Right.
So we're the
But
same. I
you know,
get it.
I will. I'll tell you one thing.
I
I've
have
gone
a
to
movie
Chiller.
now.
Good. What do you have coming out now?
No. Go ahead. I got the shameless self promotion.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. I've gone to Chiller for probably 25 years, and I will tell you, the first time that the Warriors did the convention, I've never seen a line that big at Chiller. It was amazing. They must have had like 10 or 12 of them, I think, for the first time. And Jeff, that line had to be 500-600 people long.
Well, the thing is, you had the Warriors themselves. You had, like he said, like Patrick said, you had the secondary characters, and you had great actors that came out of that movie. That one, like I said, Mercedes Rule, who was in Big.
She was kind of hot.
She was kind of hot back then too. Yeah,
but I think
I don't know how long ago this was, Sean.
Was the 35th anniversary. Right now we're 43 years together, but the 35th anniversary was at Coney Island, and it was a hot summer 2-3 days, and the lines for that was incredible. It was incredible. I lost my voice. We had bands. It was so many people showed us so much love at Coney Island. It was Warriors turf, It was a fantastic experience.
Now let's go back to the movie. Okay, so when it first comes out, okay, I mean, did you go to the screening?
Get out of here! I wasn't invited to nothing. I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think about the movie. After I got paid, I didn't think about it until I was seeing the protests and all that stuff, which is
now they were protesting because of the violence of the movie.
Yeah, there because like I said, New York was very hot at that time. There was a lot of killings. I mean, if you go back to the homicide rate in New York City, I'm sure it's much higher than it's been in a long than it is now. I mean, we were getting like 2,000 homicides a year back in those times. New York was very hot. The gangs were loose. 40 Deuce was off the chain. 40 Deuce was off the chain. It was like you say, my man said that he would love to be part of that culture. I remember doing cocaine, watching Superfly on the what they call the AMC theater now. It was the Wild Wild West back then.
It really was.
Yeah, it was. It was, and I was young, and that was me. That's part of me. It turns out years later, I wound up being a social worker, frontline of the AIDS movement in that district, taking care of people with full-blown AIDS. But that's another story.
Now, speaking of that, didn't that happen to the kid who played Rembrandt?
Well, that's not for me to say, and that's I never met him, so I'm not going to speak on that. But that's it. I know he was a very well loved by the cast members who talk about him, and they were very close to him. But I never met him, so I'm not going to speak on that. And I wish I would have met him because he touched a lot of people. In fact, at the 35th anniversary, I think
you're breaking up. You're breaking up.
They've been to, but yeah. Okay, I'm here.
Okay, we got you. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna tell you my favorite New York City story for when I was 18 years old. So I lived in Hudson County, New Jersey.
I raised my daughter in Union City.
That's where I was born and raised, Union City, 24th and Palisade.
There you go. I lived at the Doric Apartments.
I know exactly where, right down the street.
Who used to live there too? Rita Marley, from Bob Marley's wife lived there. Cool and gay people, the Manhattans. If you fell off my terrace, you landed in Hoboken. He knows what I'm talking about. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So we would take the bus in, and then we would go to Show World, right on 42nd. So Show World, for the people who don't know, had the little booth that was like a U shape, right? It was
a circle. It was a circle,
and then everybody had their own booth, right?
And the girl was in the middle.
Right. So then you
and
put
the
your
and the
money
little
in.
booth would pop up.
Right.
Yep, yep.
They had live
So
sex there for a quarter. Yeah.
so we're all putting our money in, stuff like that. We're fucking around, and then we're on the way out, and we're walking, and my best friend
Yeah,
goes,
those weren't egg drops on the floor, Sean.
"Yeah, no, yeah, nobody spilled their egg drop soup, exactly."
Oh
So,
my God. The
so
Vanessa Del Rio booth was slippery. Go ahead, bro.
Slippery. If you stood there too long, for more than 30 seconds, your feet stuck to the ground.
and you got pregnant. So
This brings back so many bad fucking memories for
it's
me.
amazing.
Oh,
So,
go ahead.
so we're
I
walking.
want to hear the end of
My
this.
best friend says to my friend Danny, "Yo, what did you do?" He goes, "Yo, I touched her boobs." So then he goes,
That's right.
"So what did you do to?" He goes to my friend JJ, "What did you do?" He goes, "Yo, I touched their ass." And he looks at me, he goes, "What did you do?" And I go, "Here, smell." And I had my hand and I smacked it right under his
There's
nose.
always one guy like that. There was always one guy in the crew who did shit like that.
That was me.
Yep.
And that punch in the head, I felt for about 9 days afterwards, but it was so worth it. So worth it.
You know, back, let me see, the early 80s, after I did the Warriors, the early 80s, I got involved with the record business. A friend of mine, a roommate of mine in college, named
What'd you
Arthur
do in the
Baker.
record business?
Well, my friend Arthur Baker, he's a super producer now. He's well known. He's done thousands of things. But anyways, he was a roommate of mine in college, and he said, "Apache, you want to get in the record business?" I said, "Sure." And next thing I know, I'm picking and packing records in a warehouse in Long Island City. So it was a slow start, but from there we had a record. Arthur started a record label called Streetwise Records, and Streetwise Records back in those days, we had the independent record labels were kicking ass, and that's where dance music was coming
Was
out.
that a lot of disco 12 inches on
A lot of
Streetwise?
12 inches. Absolutely.
I remember that label.
Yeah, so Streetwise, yeah, you remember it because Arthur and a guy named Maurice Starr, they found a group out of Boston on the projects.
Maurice Starr had a couple of big hits in the 70s.
Yeah, well, his group, the group that we dropped, that Arthur dropped the group was New Edition. You heard of them, right? They blew up.
Yeah,
blew up.
Yeah,
so
he found the New Kids on the Block too.
Yeah, exactly. So in those days, Sean, we used to go to the different record pools in the city. You had to get the record pools, the Billboard reporters. Then you had to go to the radio stations. So it was a constant battle of getting your records played. And you had to go to these different clubs. And if the clubs weren't playing your records, you couldn't sell them. And if the stores didn't have them because the clubs didn't play them, it was that kind of thing. There was a lot of magic happening in those days, and a lot of groups came out of that period.
Well,
so I was
Streetwise had the Stylistics, New Edition. I just looked up some of their.
Yeah. Oh, we had Rockers Revenge.
That was a big one. Rockers Revenge. You also had Crash Goes My Love, which was a big song.
Lolita
Remember that?
Holloway.
That's right. That was a big hit. I remember Eartha Kitt was on that label.
That's right. I spent my birthday, Christmas Eve, drinking champagne with Eartha Kitt, and I don't have a damn picture. It's not like today. So those were really good times. I even had my last gig. I had a good 10 years. My last gig, I got a couple of gold and platinum records with Ready for the World, who did Old Sheila, and big of hit. Course New Edition. But I road managed the Fat Boys. I did 50 cities in 25 days road managing the Fat Boys. I've had a pretty good, interesting life for sure. And Colonel Abrams, I brought out Colonel Abrams. He was a rest in peace, one of the kings of house music at that time. So
that is really like late 70s, early 80s stuff. What we're talking about here.
I worked a little bit with Donny Osmond, a little bit with John Waite for the Babies. Yeah, but Eartha Kitt, having celebrating my birthday with Eartha Kitt on Christmas Eve, drinking champagne, after her threatening to go upside my head. But yeah,
why did she do that? Why would you go upside your head?
I was starstruck. She just happened to walk into the office, and I was there in the office. We were on 43rd Street off 6th Avenue, and which is a completely different area now. But it was late in the office. We had a banging sound system, so we kind of partying, and I was quite well known at that time. And then a lot of people that sent me champagne, and in walks Eartha Kitt. And I
Have you
was like,
already done the Warriors?
the Warriors, yeah, the Warriors were done, but they weren't that popular then. We're talking about like 82, 83.
Okay.
The Warriors was okay. The Warriors just grew, just started growing. But at that time, I was more into the record business and having a good time. I mean, we had hit records. I never had to. I was always on the guest list. I never had to pay to go to any gigs. It was good times.
You
I
lived a
was
life.
yeah, I was the New York City breakdance judge for a while, which was a lot of fun at the old Ritz, which was
It's
the old
Webster
Ritz
Hall.
was yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
It was
on
Webster
on
Hall.
12th Avenue.
Yeah, and I used to see all the bands there, and I was living the life, and then things changed, and then I had to get serious. Then I had a kid, so you don't want to. We can go there later, but that's when I got a real job. I
Hey,
had,
so
I had to get braces. Yeah.
did you ever get a chance to work with and meet Lynn Thigpen, who played the DJ in the Warriors?
No, no, but I know that they named a school after her where she's from. I think she's from Juliet, Indiana, or Illinois, whatever that is.
She
But
was a
I know that.
she was a wonderful actress. She was probably, if you ever saw the movie Godspell, she was in that, and she was
Yeah,
really great.
of course I've
She
seen
was also
Godspell.
in
Yeah,
Where in the World is Carmen San Diego. She was on that show too.
That's right.
yeah, she was. She was. Yeah, yeah,
Show my youth.
yeah.
But it's
But
funny
it
how
was a
how
good
these
time.
careers span, and
Right?
like where you know people from. Like it's funny that you may get kids like Apache, when you do these conventions, will you have, you'll probably have guys like my age, and then you'll probably have like 20-year-olds come up to you, and you're like, how do they know this movie?
Yeah, there's been like three generations. I can honestly say, after 43 years of the Warriors being out, there's like three generations now. You can really see it, and it's kind of like they pass it on. They pass it on. There's plenty of kids that don't know the Warriors. Like my grandson, he just knows that I was in something, but it's not until recently. He's 11, so I think when he was about 9, it started because he almost killed me with Frozen when he was a baby. That almost killed me, Frozen. And then he got into Star Wars with my ex-wife, his grandmother, and I was the only one. I was like Sean. I had never seen it. I had seen so many parodies of it. I felt I'd seen it. Such a part of culture. But then he's a big kid. He's much bigger than me now, and he's wearing my hoodies now. He started wearing my T-shirts and my hoodies. So he wore his hoodie to school, the Warriors hoodie I got him for the 40th anniversary. And he doesn't think much of it. He just wore it. And two of his teachers were like, "Where'd you get that?" Blah, blah, blah. And he goes, "Oh, my father's in the Warriors." And they actually asked him to get autographs. So that's when it started really thought. He said, "Dad, Grandpa, they want your autograph." I go, "Yeah, I told you. I told you." So he started to feel it down. Yeah, he started to feel it.
Did you stop acting when you were in the music industry? Was it that? Is that why?
Yes, I stopped acting and I was working. I was in charge. Well, after the label folded, the management team of New Edition hired me. And so I was part of New Edition in the beginning. And I was responsible for New Edition, Ready for the World, a group out of Flint, Michigan that hit
Sure.
#1 pop with Oh Sheila.
Yep.
And Colonel Abrams was my accounts. Those were the three I dealt with. Then when Bobby went solo, I went with Bobby for a while, and then we did that for a couple of years, and
How
then
how was that? Because when he went
it was
solo,
great. It was
he was
great.
was
I
he
mean,
was he a little crazy at the time?
Being with New Edition was I used to get fan mail to give to New Edition. I was responsible. I used to call it. I've always, hey Sean, you're gonna like this one. You have a guest list. Well, I used to call it the pest list. Because I would be responsible for like the guest list for these groups and stuff. But yeah, New Edition, they work very, very hard. Those kids. Now
Yeah,
they're
but what
grown
was
men. They're
Bobby
fathers.
Brown like though? Because
Bobby Brown.
he left under not the greatest circumstances with
Yeah,
them,
but
right?
Bobby, I never got involved with any of that. But Bobby always traveled with his brother Tommy, and we also shared the same birthday, Tommy Brown. And to me, Bobby was my favorite. Bobby and Ralphie were my favorites. But Bobby, um, I know he got a lot of bad rap when he was young, and that he played into it a lot. But he had a great heart. I mean, I've been in limos with him where he'll stop the car and give a homeless person $100, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. That's Bobby. Bobby was very generous to a fault in a lot of
That's
ways.
beautiful
You
to
got to
hear.
remember, he was like 15 years old too. 14,
Yeah.
15 years old. I hired one of my old housemasters to go on tour with us. She was a jazz musician, so that they could go to school. But it was hard to tell kids that had thousands of little girls screaming at them, to do certain things. So that became an issue too. But
What was
Bobby was my favorite.
what was the riff in the band then? Why did he leave? Because he does come across as like an authentic guy. So why did
Well,
he wind up leaving his friends?
people get in your ear in the industry. People get in your ear, and remember, like I said, they were kids. They were children, basically, and they worked really damn hard. And I think maybe Bobby saw an opportunity to go solo and took it. You know, but
He
those
blew
guys,
up.
yeah,
Oh my God.
they. I mean, being with them, I remember. I still have. I found it. A new edition tour jacket. I still got one, and of course it doesn't fit me. But I'm gonna maybe save that for my granddaughter. But yeah, Bobby had different images of what people thought he was, and I always liked him, and I was close with his brother Tommy. But my daughter has a different perception because my daughter was like about 2 years old, and I have a picture with Bobby holding my daughter, and she was a baby, 2 years old, and she saw it years later. She goes, "Oh, Dad, you let him hold me?" Because her perception of him is like being it's a totally different thing, especially since she loved Whitney so much.
How
But
how over how overblown is the media perception of Bobby Brown to like the real Bobby Brown that you knew?
the Bobby Brown that I knew was a kind and he just loved to do shows. I mean, he just loved it. He just loved it, and unfortunately, the more you give, the more you lose your soul in the entertainment business. You know, it's a I remember being on tour with the Fat Boys, and we got shot at in Memphis. And I spent the night at Elvis Presley Memorial Hospital in Memphis with my driver who got shot in the butt, and
Was it
and why
Puffy?
why the Fat Boys were like the Three Stooges. You know what I'm saying?
Was it
It's
Puffy?
just no. What'd you say, Sean?
There was a Puffy.
No, you mean Buffy? Buffy, not Buffy. Buffy, like
I think.
Buffalo. Yeah, Buffy. Buff Love. It was the day he passed away, and Prince Marky D passed away like 2 years ago too. When I was
No,
in
He was a
Florida.
he was a great guy.
what
Prince
I
Marky
was
D
saying was it
was one of
was
the
it was
nicest guys in the business.
I, I
Absolutely.
was saying it was Sean Puffy Combs who was shot at you.
Oh no,
I
Sean
thought it
Puffy.
was
No,
like an East Coast West
we were
These
Coast
in
are the
Memphis.
edibles.
We were in Memphis.
flying.
We were in Memphis. I spent the night at Elvis Presley Memorial Hospital. I remember that. And that's when the new cell those phones that came out. They were like this big.
Mm-hmm.
Calling New York like this with those big ass cell phones, trying to get reception. Yeah, those are good old days. And then after that, I went into social services. I had to get a real job, and because of my years in the gay clubs, getting my records played like in the garage and places like that, I had seen this thing called AIDS happening, so I wasn't afraid for it. So when I said I came off tour with the Fat Boys, I became Mr. Moms, and then I had to get a job, and I was like, oh shit, I have a degree. So I was reading the Amsterdam News, and since I grew up on welfare, I started working in public assistance, and they had a unit called the AIDS Unit, called Division of AIDS Services, and I joined it. So one minute I was, it's like my life changed. I went from hanging out in limousines and cocaine and partying and shit like that. Next minute I know I'm in Hell's Kitchen walking up a 6th-floor flight to try to help somebody with AIDS keep their apartment. So I did that for 10 years, and then I got promoted to the South Bronx. So that was a trip. But when I worked, I maybe when I worked in Division of AIDS Services, I really learned about courage and love and the real deal on that. But they didn't have the domestic partnership at that time too. So it was back then. It was really a death sentence. So when you got a pending, you knew what it was, and to deal with that person, you still with them until they passed, and then you would get another client. And back then, they weren't burning you. Then they were cremating all of my clients. Then it was very tough. I have a lot of stories. Luckily, the Blarney Stone was right downstairs from the office on 30th and 8th Avenue. And the people from Madison Square Garden, the people from the post office and us, social services, we used to hang out there. And that was our place, our base. But those were tough times in Hell's Kitchen with the AIDS. A lot of good people died. It was tough times.
That was a tough time. So now you've been doing that. How often do you do the Warrior conventions or the Chiller conventions?
Well, it's I would say I would do maybe 2 or 3 a year, but this year a little more since after the pandemic. It all depends on the promoters, because it's going to cost you money to get the Warriors. You got to if you want all of them, you got to fly some of them in. They don't all live in New York, and the hotels, and so it's so when we get called in, the promoters is not sure if they're going to make money on us, but now they're starting to see they do, because when I did Chiller, it's the most I ever made, and the promoter, he knew it, because when they first set the prices, because this particular promoter, he paid for the photos, he paid for the hotel, he paid for the transportation. I had my own transportation though, but and he gets to set the prices, and when Didi and I saw the prices, I said we ain't gonna make no money, but we did. People just love us. I mean, people just love. They want anything to do with the Warriors. Oh, this year, Sean, you're gonna like it. I came up with this idea.
What is it?
I gotta show you this, Sean. Oh my God. When I don't know if you know Dan. You guys know Danny O'Connor from House of Pain. You know Danny O'Connor from House of Pain.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if you know it, but he's in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he bought the house that was all decrepit, the Outsiders house, where they made the movie The Outsiders. So he invited me he invited me out there to sign autographs and help make money for the Outsiders house. It's now a museum, and now it's a tourist attraction. It's wonderful. Anyway, so we went out there, and he had these things, and these are magnets for your refrigerator. So I forgot all about it because that was about 4 years ago. So this time I made some. So I have a little extra for people who don't have like $40 an autograph, but they're 20. But yeah, that's what it is. I see
those are pretty cool, man.
Excited, Sean.
That is cool, man. I dig that stuff.
That's some good stuff we got there. Wow, so this was a pretty interesting hour that we just kind of like we did with Apache. I gotta say, man.
Here's another one. Since when I was in the record business, and I don't know if you know, but we used to go to black music conventions in Atlanta. It was called Jack the Rapper. Jack the Rapper was a magazine, a newspaper that had to deal with black music and black radio, all the radio stations in America. So I was given the Kelly Isley Award, which is funny. He was born on Christmas, and on Christmas Eve, and it was given to me for my total involvement in black radio and black music, the Family Affair, Atlanta, Georgia, 1986. So I have all these little things I got that I did after the Warriors, So the Warrior glory is coming later in life. Like sometimes people stop me in the street. I don't know if it's for the record business or it's the Warriors. So I don't know if you're going to close us out pretty soon, but I just want to mention my new movie. It's called The Automat. And I don't know if you guys are old enough, but The Automat, I'm in this movie. I'm going to drop some names on you now. You got your seatbelt on?
Go for it.
Mel Brooks is in this movie. Mel
Wow.
Brooks is in this movie. Rob Reiner's in this movie. His
Yeah.
father's in this movie.
Who's that?
Carl Reiner.
Carl Reiner.
Ginsburg is in this movie.
How long ago did
General
you film
Colin
this movie?
Powell's in this movie. And yours truly, Apache Ramos, is in this movie. And I'm in it twice. And what was your question?
I said, how long ago did you guys film this movie?
Well, I filmed my part about 3 years ago. It took 7 years to get it done.
Yeah.
It took about 7 years to get it done. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, it's by Lisa Hurwitz. And Mel Brooks falls. You can see part of it on YouTube.
Give us the name of the movie again.
It's called The Automat. It's
The Automat, folks.
It's The Automat, and it was written up in the New York Times. We got a 98 tomato rating, and it's a beautiful, nostalgic tribute to a time of New York City and Philadelphia, because the Automats, well, in Philadelphia, they called it Horn and Hardart, and here in New York, they called it The Automat.
I mean, that's two legends right there. Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, the late Carl
Reiner. Elliot Gould is in it.
He also passed recently, right?
No, Elliot Gould, I think, is still with us. But he talks about the time where the Horn and Hardart had the Children's Playhouse. And all these famous actors came out of that, and all these Broadway actors. So it's called The Automat, and I'm glad to be part of it. And you guys will be shocked.
We lost Sean right again. Is Elliot?
Oh sure? Man, Sean! I like Sean a lot.
Oh, listen, man! Everyone loves Sean. Sean is like he's like, well, first of all, he's a great comic. Yeah, you know what? You're right. Elliot Gould is still with us. He's 84 years old. That motherfucker's
still alive. He's alive. He's a motherfucking pimp.
Look up The Automat right now on Amazon Prime. Look at the rating we got on that.
I'll look that up right now. What is it called? The Automat.
The New York Times even mentioned me. No brag, just fact.
The Automat movie. I'm looking this up right now. And
Amazon Prime.
Oh, look at that. Wow, Mel Brooks looks really young in it.
Well, he's not young, but he's so funny. He says,
why is Ruth Bader Ginsburg in this? It's a documentary.
Right. That's right.
Ron Barnett is in it. Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, Audrey Hepburn, Elizabeth. What the hell kind of movie is this?
Okay. And
oh my God! I mean, you got like. I mean, listen to the people who I guess are going to be in this movie. Elliot Gould, by the way, the headshot that they're using here, he looks worse than Joe Biden. All right, so you got Carl Reiner, Mel Brooks, Elizabeth Taylor, Cary Grant, Leslie Uggams. Wow.
Leslie Uggams and Elliot Gould, they were children who were in the Automats theater group. They used to have television shows, the Automat.
Oh, look at this. You got, by the way, I'm sorry to cut you off, but you got billing over Carl Reiner. You got billing over. Listen to this. You got billing over Carl Reiner. These are who else? Okay, Bud Abbott, Frankie Avalon, Jack Benny, Peter Boyle, Sid Caesar, Jimmy Carter. Oh my God! I can't. I gotta see this.
Oh, you got to see it, brother. It's a really
Apache, you are in this. You are in this documentary, and you are like prominently displayed on it. I'm looking. I'll show it right now. Look at
that. I know. I saw it. I don't know why they used my warrior picture. I don't know why they.
What else are they going to use? Your Fat Boy Tour picture?
No, I have other things too. I was in Vamp Bikers, which is a 3-part series that had Michael, what's his name is in it? El Duce, Michael Musto. He plays Hedda Hopper in this movie I'm in. It's called Vamp Bikers. And it's Michael Musto is in it. That Club Kid killer recently died. He's in it. The kid from Bronx Tale was in it.
Well, Lilo Brancato. Lilo
Lilo's
Brancato.
in
Yeah.
it. It's called Vampikers. That was on Amazon Prime. It was a 3-part series. Then I had a short film that was on Amazon. I won Best Supporting Actor in Canada. It's called what was it called? High and Tight. I play a barber.
Wait, Michael Musto, the author, was in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vampikers. Look it up. Vampikers,
No, I got it on it. It's quite the eclectic. Well, you're prominently. You got to see the picture they use of you on here. You look like Burt Young in this picture. it is not.
No, I'm looking more like Fred Sanford these days.
Oh, you got to see this. Like who is Screaming Rachel?
Screaming Rachel right now is the president of Track Records in Chicago, house music record label. And back in the day, she was a punk artist that I knew that I had actually signed to Streetwise Records. And back in the day before the label folded. And she has her own little empire in Chicago. Screaming Rachel Kane. She does a lot of stuff. And I'm currently doing a film with her now, too. I was just with her the other day, but she's out of Chicago. Screaming Rachel out of Chicago. I'm not working with Hollywood. I'm working with Hollywood. Young people that want to make films, they show me love.
Listen, it's a lot of fun to do it. And let me tell you something. It's been a lot of fun having you on. I mean, we only have an hour to do this show. So I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much. People, check out the Automat. Okay.
There you go.
It is absolutely going to be worth checking out.
You would maybe want to have Lisa Hurwitz, the director, on your show.
Yeah, man. Give her my information. We'd love to talk to her.
Yeah, she's a young girl. That's what Mel Brooks couldn't understand, how this young girl had such an interest and the job that she did about the Automats. He said, "You're like 11," he would say. But one thing I want to say about Mel Brooks, he even wrote a song for the movie, and you can see that on YouTube. But he said the lemon meringue pie was made by God.
I think
talking about the Automat. Nice talking to you.
I think on that note, yes, Apache, thank you so much, man. Great having you on. Great finally being able to talk with you about this.
And listen, I want to make Sean and you. Can I get a picture of Sean? Can I see Sean's face?
Yeah.
Look at him.
Okay, Sean. I don't know if you can see me. I got my Santana shirt. That's my band. You are now and forevermore, because only I can do this, an honorary orphan, brother.
Oh, my life is fucking complete.
Now you gotta rewatch the movie.
And you too, my brother.
Thank
honorary
you.
Orphans, man.
I'm going to say one more thing before we go. I will close it off.
Yeah.
We booked the show. The Warriors was my least favorite movie. It is now my second least favorite of all time because I watched The Munsters by Rob's Netflix. And I actually got physically violent and physically sick and mentally tortured after watching.
Well, so I can't wait to watch it now.
And now that we have a personal connection, I don't hate the movie as much as I did.
That's good, Papa. That's good. Listen,
Patrick, you're a great dude, man. Thank you for coming on.
One of the big questions we get is, do we want to see a remake of The Warriors?
No.
That is a debate question.
No way.
That we get, yeah.
No way. That movie, you leave it the way it is. You'll leave it as it is.
No,
they'll ruin it. They'll make it woke. It'll stink. No, that you leave that movie the way. That's what they did to the Many Saints in Newark. Or I'm the big Sopranos fan. Just don't make it woke. Just don't make it woke. They make the most woke movie ever. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Thank you for having me on.
Take care, brother.
Take care.
Be well. All right, guys. We will
rain on them Warriors.
That's right.
We're going to rain on them Warriors.
Apache Ramos, everybody. This was a good show, man. This was really a lot of fun. Catch us every week on Who's Your Band. Keep subscribing, keep those numbers growing, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye, everybody.